Halloween is rapidly approaching, so I'm going to show you how to make a very easy beginner leatherwork project that you can make in about an hour, plus some dry time, a basic shaped eye patch. You're going to need to pillage and plunder the craft and/or leather store for the following items. A small piece of veg tan cowhide. I'm going to recommend 4 to 8 ounce thickness, a hole punch and a mallet, a knife and a cutting mat, or a pair of very sharp scissors, a pencil, a basic paintbrush, a bottle of acrylic paint in any color you like, and elastic or ribbon to attach it to your head. Elastic is a little bit more comfortable and secure. And you're also going to need your pattern, which I've provided for free in the description for both eyes. First, print off your pattern. Make sure to select actual size when you're printing so it prints out correctly. Then you want to cut the pattern out using a knife or scissors. You're going to plop your pattern down on top of your veg tan cowhide. You'll notice I put mine upside down, which means that it is not in fact for the right eye, it's now for the left eye. I traced around the eye patch using my pencil and then cut the leather out using a sharp exacto knife on my cutting mat. Then I used my hole punch and my mallet to punch out the holes in the paper pattern. Notice I'm punching against a punching board. This is just to protect my punch. If you don't have one of these, that's totally fine. You can punch against a piece of corrugated cardboard or some leather scrap. Then I laid my paper pattern on top of my eye patch and marked the location of my holes and then punched them out of the leather as well. Next up, I fill my sink with water and yeet my eye patch into it, letting it sit there until these little bubbles stop rising, and then I know it's fully soaked. When you first pull your leather out of the water, you can see it's very floppy and it's not going to hold shape. So we need it to dry down a little bit before we can start properly shaping it. You can either set it aside for a little while to dry, or you can use a hairdryer to speed this process along. Now, you either want to use your hairdryer on the cool setting, or if you're going to use the hot setting, keep your distance. You'll notice I'm holding the eye patch, and that is so I can judge the temperature. If it's too hot for my hand, it's going to be too hot for the leather. You don't want to burn it. So once the leather has dried down far enough that I notice it's not floppy anymore, when I shape it, it stays in place. That's when we know we're ready to start shaping. So now you're going to press your thumbs into the back side of the leather and you're molding it into a dome shape. Once you have a nice domed shape to your patch, you want to do a final check against your face. You want to shape that eye patch to the contours of your head and also make sure that it's not poking in anywhere and it's going to be comfortable. Once you're happy, you can either set it aside for a day to let it dry completely, or you can use your hairdryer to speed that process along. Don't use a heat gun, it's way too hot. If your leather is still cool to the touch, it's probably not totally dry. Let it dry entirely. Once it's completely dry, we can color it. Now you can use either leather dye or acrylic paint for this. If you're going to use dye though, make sure you add multiple coats of finish. You do not want it bleeding onto your skin. So I'm going to use acrylic paint. This is just basic craft store brand, and I'm using a cheapo craft store paintbrush to apply it. I'm coloring the edges and the front surface. If you need a second coat, go ahead and do that, and then set it aside until it's completely dry. Now we're done, we can add the elastic. If you need to stretch your holes a little bit to fit the elastic through, go ahead and do that. I trimmed the elastic and used a lighter on the end just to make sure it doesn't fray, and then I tied a knot in the elastic as close as possible to the end of it. Then I fed my elastic through both holes in the eye patch. You can either position the knot in front of the eye patch, which is a little bit more comfortable but doesn't look quite as good, or you can have the knot on the back side, which is a better aesthetic, but it might dig into your face a little bit. Then tie the elastic on the back side of your head. Matey, we're done. I make lots of nerdy things on my channel, so follow along for more.